Hey guys, I am so excited to get back to recording videos again and can now do so on a regular basis. If you're new here, first of all, welcome. And second of all, the theme of this channel is teaching you how to use a unique blend between cutting edge psychology principles along with timeless wisdom from the ages in order for you to live your best life. When you mix these two ideas together, you play the alchemist. I'll teach you how to make life become more playful, more enjoyable, and transmute those common challenges that we all face instead of becoming a victim to our circumstances. Now, I will also be discussing my Egypt trip that I went on earlier this year with day-by-day commentaries of what we witnessed, so get ready for that. My trip absolutely changed my life after I got home, just as it was foreseen by my guide. And for those of you who have been following me this past year, you've seen my transformation happen in real time. And that's why I am even more excited to be going back this coming spring. And that's why I'm here today. I wanted to take a few minutes and talk about this unique tour in a bit more depth while there's still time to sign up before it sells out. I'm so excited to share this news about how I will be co-leading this once-in-a-lifetime trip to these sacred lands. This is a bucket list level journey, you guys, where we will be going full tilt in luxury, staying at some of the nicest hotels Egypt has to offer, cruising on the Nile, coming up close and personal with these famous sites that we've all seen on the internet, while understanding them in a deeper and more unique way than most tours can offer. If you have ever even thought about visiting these sacred lands and holy temples that very few people are able to personally witness, this is your trip. We will be led by one of the country's top tour guides, certainly one of the most knowledgeable persons I've ever met in my life. I will be interviewing him soon, and we'll be having a frequently asked questions, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be awesome. I have all these questions that I wasn't able to have answered when I was there, and if you guys have any questions, make sure to post them below so I can get a hold of those and ask those. And we might even have more than one session of going back and forth with questions. Maybe we'll even do a live. It all depends on what you guys want. I also, now this is important, I have a special offer at the end of this video. So whether you're able to go to Egypt or not, it doesn't matter. Just stay tuned to take advantage of that. You do not want to miss this. Okay, so without further ado, let's launch in. Okay, so let's get started with our day-by-day breakdown of what this trip includes. So it's going to be in March, and it's from the 1st to the 16th, and the title of the tour is Before Egypt. And this is important because before what we understand Egypt to be today, there is an entire world, an entire psychology, a spirituality, technology, all of these different forms of how these ancients lived. And for the most part, this has been lost through the sands of time. So we are going to be unpacking all of what the ancients believed, how they lived their life from day to day, and how these statues and temples and sacred energies that are all over, and how these supposed primitives from thousands of years ago could make such masterpieces that still exist today, the wonders of the world, right? And it's laughable to use the phrase flesh and bone, chisel and stone, to think that these ancient sites could have been made with copper chisels. So we'll move beyond the mainstream, dive deep, and talk about what really could have gone on all of those years ago, including an alternate timeline. Almost everything we know about Egypt is based on theories and conjectures, and there's actually very few data points that we know with absolute certainty. So I am so excited for us to be able to move beyond the mainstream, to dive deep, and to really go into what could have gone on to have allowed these statues from thousands of years ago to still stand. Every day we'll be discussing lost technology in regards to how these buildings were made and their purpose, but also within a larger context of their religious and spiritual beliefs. This is something that I'm especially excited for, as this component has been my personal fascination since I was little. We'll also be discussing the secrets of vibration and how this was understood and utilized back in the ancient day, as well as cutting-edge science that's used today. Most importantly, I will be discussing how we can implement these same principles into our daily life, something that my online course, and for that matter, the purpose of this channel, will be going into. And you guys, I have to tell you, I've already started having dreams about this tour. I've been in touch with my guide about these visions that have come to me, And so far, he said everything that I've shared with him can become a reality. So can't wait. Okay, so now let's talk about day one. So we're going to be meeting at 6:30 in the evening for our welcome dinner and getting to know one another. And this is our hotel. It's called Le Méridien, and it's right next to the pyramids, and it is so stunning. So here's our lobby. And this is the view from my hotel room last time. I remember when I first walked in, I was thinking to myself, you've got to be kidding me to be this close, a stone's throw away, right from the pyramids. So gorgeous pools. Here's the view from my balcony, looking straight out. And the pool getting ready for the day. We have multiple pools to choose from. Here's a night shot. And here's a picture. This has special meaning. I'll go into this later when I do my commentaries, but this was right when I woke up, and I had such a powerful, I guess you could call it a download that came to me, and it was happening right when I looked out at this shot right here. I've got to tell you, this is one of the coolest pools that I've ever seen. They even have a spa downstairs. I got a massage when I was there. It was just great. Okay, so then on day two, we're actually going to enter into the Giza Plateau. So this is a very complex area. There's a lot of different intricate monuments here, and even the ground is very unique in the different places, which I'll be showing. So it's very rich with so many different nuances. So here's an overall shot of the area. The main pyramid here, this is the one that we will have a private tour inside, the one that we typically think of when we think of the Great Pyramid, referenced as Khufu. And then the second pyramid here, this is called Khafre, which we will be going into on day two here. And then this third one way back here, this is Menkaure. So we're going to start here. We're going to be staying here later on in the tour. This is called Mina House, and I'll be describing that later. And so as we enter here, we're going to kind of walk all around and then take this journey down into the Sphinx right here. And I'll be going into more detail later on. But this is kind of just an overall shot of the whole area. And I've got to tell you guys, there have been few moments in my life where I feel like, oh, this is what life is all about. And I don't want to overhype this, but coming here and actually being able to be on these grounds, I mean, I could feel the energy exuding from these different places. And I mean, I think I have a picture in here of the smile on my face, the first selfie that I took when I entered this area. And it was like my inner 5-year-old came out and was just saying, oh my God, yes. And they're larger than life, these pyramids. You know, when you get up close and you finally see them and you touch them and you just think, oh my gosh, you know, pictures cannot do this justice. Yep, so there I am. And this shot is so ironic because it says no climbing, and you'll see later that people are climbing all over the place. But again, look at the size of these stones, you know? And when you compare that in size proximity to people, it's mind-blowing. It's hard to wrap your head around this. And as you'll see as I go through these daily shots, I mean, these are some of the best pictures that you can get of yourself in, well, in my opinion, anywhere in the world. And the camels, you guys, oh my gosh, the colors, we'll be talking about the colors, but the size of these creatures, again, to see an actual camel in person, I don't know if you've had a chance to do that, but they are so massive. They're really majestic. So here's kind of what I was talking about the different geology of the land, and we'll go into different theories in terms of, you know, why there was so much diversity. So when I went on this tour, it was with a very famous author. His name is Chris Dunn. He's over here on the left. And if you haven't checked out his material, I can't recommend it enough. He is absolutely one of the most brilliant brains behind the theory of how all of these different structures were constructed, as well as their purpose. Here we are inside one of the smaller pyramids, being able to go through and again have Muhammad describe what all of these different frescoes and hieroglyphs mean, just unlocks a whole new depth of richness to the experience. And this is actually his specialty. He is, I'm sure he'll probably get embarrassed if I say this, but a world-renowned expert in hieroglyphics. and he's been hired by various countries to even interpret some of their hieroglyphs that they were scratching their head thinking, gosh, what does this mean? And now here we are going down into the second pyramid, which again we'll do on day 2. It's really fun. I mean, you feel like you're Indiana Jones as you're going down here and being able to explore this. I can't see this picture enough without it bringing a smile to my face, just because of the adventure that you feel when you go down these steps. And like I said, the photo hops here are amazing, and the locals will kind of take your phone and give you some great shots, and I'll help guide you guys to make sure that that you get those best pictures possible. And there's actually a temple that you have to enter in before you get close to the actual Sphinx itself. And this temple is very significant because, as we'll talk about with these alternate timelines, you'll see these stones, which again are massive, and the technology used here is unprecedented, and it doesn't fit with the surrounding area. And of course, once we get close to the Sphinx, in my opinion, some of the best photo ops, like I said, anywhere in the world. I have some of these printed out and kind of posted all over. So a lot of fun. Okay, and now day 3, we're going to head to a place called Tanis. So we'll start this day in our very cushy tour bus, and we'll be able to see different parts of the city as we head out. Here's again a shot of the Nile. So the first stop that we will head is a place called Tel Basta. And here, as well as Tanis and this region here, includes some of the most mystical spots in the entire country. So Tel Basta is the city of Bastet, which is in reference to cats. And as many of you know, cats were highly revered in ancient Egypt. And so we go to a great museum and get to see a whole bunch of really wonderful pieces. And it's too bad that more people don't know about this spot in order to see all of the different features. So I'll share a few pictures from Tanis just so that you get a little taste of what this place has to offer. So this statue here is kind of representative of some other ones that we'll see. If you notice here, especially along the face, right along here, that there is a difference in terms of the coloration. And one of the theories is that there was a cataclysm that took place in very, very ancient days. And these statues here might hold some secrets in terms of what this cataclysm included. So to be able to come up close and personal and see these is pretty remarkable. Okay, so our next day, this is a very special site because it's called Abu Rawash. I was shocked because when we were getting ready to go here, Mohammed was telling us that the driver didn't even know how to get here. That's how kind of removed from the mainstream this place is. So this graphic here actually shows one of the theories in terms of how these stones might have been cut in the ancient days. So we're going to head here and we're going to be able to walk through these different areas and then talk about the different theories. And we're going to see images like this all over. So there's little notches kind of set apart. And again, we'll be going into depth in terms of the different possibilities of what this may mean. And then there's actually a ravine that you can walk down in where the quarry existed. So we're able to walk down here and get to go to the bottom, which is kind of a fun adventure in and of itself. So here is Alexandria. And this shot here is one of the castles, gorgeous, gorgeous castle that the king or prince or whoever it was that kind of owned these grounds lived in. And the grounds, which you'll see in a minute, are absolutely exquisite. Now, one of the places that we'll be visiting here is a Roman theater. And down in this sweet spot right here, when you stand on this area, your voice projects in a way that I can't even describe. It's something that you really have to be there in person in order to experience. This is called Pompey's Pillar. And supposedly it was built by the Romans. But again, the technology here, in order for it to be constructed in the way that it did, just casts some doubt. Again, another great photo op. We'll also be stopping at the catacombs, which is really fun to kind of go inside, tour the property, and then go down underneath the ground. Really cool. It's certainly one of the highlights for me to go underneath there. And here we are driving along the Mediterranean. And every day we'll be having police escort. This is a common question that I get from folks of how safe is Egypt? And it's pretty standard practice for us to have protection every day. So no need to worry. I never felt unsafe. And here are the grounds. So beautiful to be able to walk through these. And Alexandria really has some beautiful hotels and a lot of places nearby for us to go eat at or just kind of explore in the evening. So great city. And this was a very rich day for us where we will be driving through the bazaars and the side streets and being able to just see how the locals live and shop. And the food carts here and the food, so good. I never had a bad meal the entire trip. Okay, and then our next day, we head to a place called Saqqara, and this is where the step pyramid resides. So we'll be able to poke around and explore that, including a private visit underneath this step pyramid. And it is a very unique space being inside here. As with many of the other pyramids, these chambers in here are very resonant, and a pin drop will create an echo. So I'm excited that we will be able to get a private visit underneath this step pyramid. Then we'll be heading to Dashur, and this is where the famous bent pyramid is. Definitely a pretty cool spot. We walk around and Mohammed tells us a story that I'll save for later in terms of what he used to find scattered around the sand. Then we head to the mystical Serapeum. This was another big highlight of my trip when I went on this past year. There are these huge boxes inside that are made out of, again, this granite, which is a very hard stone. And what's so cool about this is you can see in the pictures is you can imagine how heavy these blocks of stone are. And when you compare that to the walkways, not only there had to have been some sort of technology that allowed these workers to bring these in, but the other real factor here that doesn't make sense is that when you turn the corner, there isn't enough space for these blocks to have room in order to turn. So certainly a highlight of my whole trip. And then for the next couple nights, we're going to be staying at a place I mentioned earlier called the Mina House. It's a Marriott property. And you guys, listen, I have been fortunate enough to stay at hotels all over the world, sometimes even 5 or 6-star hotels. And this is, in my opinion, one of my favorites. So here's the lobby. Here are some of the grounds. Here is one of the views from my balcony. And of course, you can see the pyramid. And then this is the lounge here. So cool, especially at night. So this is going to be a real highlight for us. This is behind the property at one of the restaurants. And then brunch every morning right here. Best view in the whole city, in my opinion. Now, the following day, we're going to a place called Abydos, and this was hands down one of the absolute most impactful days that I went on, and hopefully it will be the same for you. This is often referred to as a place of initiation. I had a very profound experience when I was here, which I'll talk about later in my commentaries. And if you look here at the shafts of light coming in, it's something right out of Indiana Jones. And of course, this is where the famous Apache helicopter hieroglyph is found right here. And then something that looks like a sand cruiser out of Star Wars, and then some sort of UFO. So pretty cool things that we see when we just kind of explore around. And then behind this Abydos temple, built into the ground, is another unique temple. This is called the Osirian. It was often a place of pilgrimage, and this is where the famous flower of life was etched on. So here's another shot. Unfortunately, last time we weren't able to go down in, and hopefully this time we will be able to. So here's kind of one angle, and then here's kind of a better shot. And what's so cool about this is we don't know how they etched that into the stone. And then we will spend the night that night in a hotel called the House of Life. So some pretty fun shots of this place. And then our next day, we're going to be heading to Dendera. These are some shots from the countryside. So beautiful out here. And the good old Nile. And we're going to be entering into a place called the Temple of Hathor. And this was one of the strongest places known for healing that people would come to. Here's one of the temple guards. And I'd certainly say this is one of the most beautiful temples that we visited, and also one of the most intricate with detail. And then we'll walk down some stairs and we will see the famous Dendera light bulb. And these hieroglyphs here were larger than I would have imagined. Absolutely worth seeing in person. And here we are on the roof. And we'll be stopping along the way for some great shopping. I will certainly say that out of all the countries I have been to in my travel experiences thus far, there's no question Egypt is easily the best place for shopping. So if you want to get some doodads for yourself or family members or for your office, this is the country to go to. And then we'll be spending the night at a great hotel called the Steinenberger. Here's my room last time. And one of the views from my room and the lobby. And here's a little kind of midway through the eatery and the view out back. Now I will say that when I was here last time, I unfortunately wasn't able to take advantage of this. But if we can wake up early, we have an opportunity to hopefully go on a hot air balloon and fly over the Valley of the Kings. And for those who did this, they said it was absolutely worth it. I think it was something like $100. And gosh, I mean, talk about money well spent. Just a very peaceful scene right outside your balcony. And some beautiful night shots. Then we have a number of famous sites that we're going to see the next day. This is the Colossi of Memnon. Worth looking up if you haven't researched this before. Very interesting past. And we'll be traveling all throughout the Valley of the Kings. One of the best photo opportunities for the trip. The number of different famous spots. Now this is kind of interesting. The new director of antiquities has relinquished the ban that used to be placed on a lot of these sacred sites where you weren't allowed to take photos. And so with this recent lifting, from my understanding, it provides a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to take pictures of places that you weren't able to in the past. Some of these places, it's so new, they haven't even changed the signage. Again, beautiful frescoes with color. And then we'll head to our cruise boat. Now, this is the cruise boat that we had this past year. And Mohammed is saying that we are going to be upgrading, believe it or not, to one of the best Nile cruise boats that there is. So looking forward to that upgrade, which isn't to say this was inferior by any means. It's definitely nice having a day or an afternoon to just kind of lounge around the pool, get a drink, and chill out and enjoy being in Egypt on the Nile. And then our last evening is the party evening, so people can get dressed up. The staff likes to dress up, have a lot of fun. They sing songs. Folks can even wear more traditional garb and just have a really fun night. And then we cap off this amazing day by heading to the temple at Luxor. And so here we see sphinxes flanked for, it seemed like literally miles. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of them that just went on forever. I believe this used to be a waterway back in the day. Can you imagine how magnificent that would be to see? Here's the temple itself. And then we head to the Temple of Karnak. This is easily the largest temple grounds that we'll be visiting. Absolutely stunning. This is called the ringing obelisk, and if you strike one end and head to the other end, you can hear it resonating. Pretty cool. And then we'll be heading to the Chapel of Sekhmet. I've seen photos from other folks on the trip who have been here before, and you could literally see energy discharging from these photos. Almost like a ghost or a halo in the background, or an aura, I'm not sure, but it was incredible, and you could feel the energy. It felt very sacred. So this is going to be something else that I'm really looking forward to seeing again. Next up, we'll be heading to Kamumbo. Just in time to watch a beautiful sunset and hear the tales about how this sacred temple was supposedly built using technology with vibration, with sound, and with mind power or consciousness. And this is my particular jam, so I really look forward to being able to share some insights here, as well as have Mohammed give excellent leadership. This place was also known as the lands of initiation, and so when an initiate would come, and in order to be involved into the secret society, that they would have to swim in the dark through this labyrinth, including underneath water, and it was crocodile infested. And then we'll also see mummified crocodiles, thousands of years old. Then we'll sail to the famous island of Philae. Part of what this temple is known for is before this Aswan Dam was built, as you see up here toward the top in the background, that there obviously didn't used to be water here, and the temple was actually located just a stone's throw away further down south. And then when the dam was built, they literally took brick by brick and moved it onto this island. Once again, great shopping, your opportunity to use your bargaining skills, and of course, Mohammed and I can help you in terms of making sure that you get the best deal. And here's closer up to the temple. And then after lunch, we'll head to the famous Aswan Quarry, where we'll see one of the obelisks in its rarest form before it was fully extracted. We'll go over the mainstream theories behind this, and then of course the more plausible alternative theories. This shot here was one of my most favorites, just to show the size and scale of these magnificent obelisks. Then we'll take another cruise boat and head to the famous Elephantine Island. Supposedly Napoleon visited here. We'll stop by a really cool museum where they talk about the snakes, and we'll have a whole conversation about the purpose of the snakes and how that relates to different theories. One, of course, being Kundalini energy and then third eye. We'll see some magnificent structures, and again, look at the technology here in terms of how detailed they were. For example, with the care that they took with these right angles, very remarkable. This island is also supposedly where the Ark of the Covenant was once housed, and if we're lucky, we'll see one of these cute kitties or reincarnated temple priestesses. Who knows? Then we're going to head back to Cairo, stay once again at the Mina House that I mentioned, and then have some very well-deserved rest time. So one of the recommendations is heading to this place here. It's the world's largest open market bazaar, and it's called Khan al-Khalili. And again, treasures, I think of Aladdin, but treasures for anything you can think of. When I had some free time during this day last time, I headed back to the Giza Plateau because I wanted to ride on a camel. And let me tell you guys, I didn't really know what to expect, but in hindsight, this was definitely a bucket list item for me. When you get on these suckers, it's literally like you're going on an amusement ride. It is so much fun, absolutely worth it. You are so high up, you get a great view, and I don't know, it's just a riot. It's absolutely worth it. And of course, the photos are priceless. Then we'll head to the famous Egypt Museum. So this is what the existing museum looks like. And let me tell you guys, they have it all here. I mean, they have mummies and King Tut and all of the famous artifacts that you can think of are housed here. And fingers crossed, hopefully the new museum will be open. When this does open, this will replace the old one and it will become the world's largest archaeological museum, racking in at $1 billion. So here are some sketchings of what this place will look like once it finally opens up. And then on our last day, you guys, I am really looking forward to this day. We're going to head back to the Giza Plateau, and this is going to be our private visit day. So we're going to get an opportunity to go into the Great Pyramid with just us and no one else. And then, of course, the crown jewel. So we are going to be heading to the Sphinx. And again, just to give a little context here, when most folks head to the Sphinx, they have to stand near this little area here and they can take pictures, but again, it's from afar. Now, it is possible to head into the actual enclosure, which is right here, but it's very rare since it's closed to the public and you have to have special permission to do so. Well, guess what, guys? We will have that permission. I am so looking forward to this. Oh my gosh. If you're not familiar with Robert Schoch, no, that's not this guy. I encourage you to look him up. He has created a lot of very provable evidence that the timeline for how old the Sphinx is a lot older geologically than we traditionally think. So we will be able to get up close and personal. Also, we will have another very special opportunity with this Sphinx experience, which I'll hold off and share once we're finally on the tour. So really looking forward to this very rare opportunity. And then we'll walk back a couple steps back to our very posh hotel at the Mina House and have a great last farewell dinner with one another. And we can swap photos and share highlights and get ready to head back home. So again, I thank you all for sticking with me through this video and being able to let me share some of the highlights of this once in a lifetime opportunity. If you're like me, you'll walk away from this tour transformed with a deeper understanding of all things Egypt, with another life goal checked off, fantastic memories, enough photos to review for years to come, and at least for me, a deeper understanding about life. One last component I wanted to share is Mohammed had said that all of these sacred temples are built on very specific guidelines, and one of those has to be location. And so he said by us physically going to these temples, the hieroglyphs show themselves that the energies there mingle with our DNA and can create deep transformation in the folks who come there. This was part of why they were labeled as centers for healing and initiation. And whether or not I can logically connect the dots or not, can't explain it all, but I can tell you this, that when I came home, some of the opportunities that I was hoping for in life just exploded. So my prayer is that this is the case for you too, if you're able to join us. So one last piece I wanted to highlight was something that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, which is whether or not you are able to come and join us. We would love to have you, but even if you can't, please spread the word. So here's my offer. If you are able to successfully refer someone that you know to this trip, we will give you an easy peasy $300. So just message me on Facebook Messenger or have the person who's interested and able to sign up message me and we will go from there. Okay? Anyway, go ahead and smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you like any portion of this video, go ahead and give a like. If you have questions or comments or other things you want to share, please go ahead and do that below. I will leave the link for the tour in the description box as well, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.